Ciao everyone and welcome back. We are almost halfway our Sanremo Music Festival 2026 song analysis. In fact, today we are going to talk about the song that ranked 13th. I am talking about Resta con me by Bambole di pezza. As usual, let's start with the translation of the title. Very simply, stay with me. Resta con me. But what about the meaning? Well, they said this song is about the courage to stay united even in difficult times, because by supporting each other you can get anywhere. And I would say that our sisterhood is the proof of this, because the presenter of the song, alongside with the rest of the band, was the voice and front girl, if we will. I say front girl because Bambole di Pezza is a full women band. But what did Lorenzo Coveri says in his lyrics analysis? It's a first for Sanremo, an all-female punk rock band, very important this detail, and the only band at this edition, because bands are objectively more rare due to several reasons. Composed of 5 bad girls who answer to the names and nicknames Martina Ungarelli, Cleo, Caterina Alessandra Dolci, Kay, Lisa Cherry, Morgana Blu, Federica Rossi, Xina, Daniela Piccirillo, Dani, and who, for the occasion, have joined forces with the talented Nesli, Francesco Tarducci, brother of Fabri Fibra. If you don't know Fabri Fibra, just so you know, he is considered one of the most important rappers in the scene of Italian rap. Guitar riffs, piercing nails, and various trinkets are expected on stage, and in fact they delivered. Fresh from a long apprenticeship in the underground scene, Bambole di pezza, a mocking antiphrasis, deliver unexpectedly calm piece, addressed, like the vast majority of 2026 songs, to an undefined you, with some linguistic recklessness, perhaps for metrical reasons. But there is even a nice subjunctive, we'll see it in the chorus if I remember correctly, with a tender title that perhaps also recalls Pino Daniele's Resta con me, year 1995. So why Bamboli di pezza a mocking antiphrasis? Because Bamboli di pezza literally mean ragdolls. In Italian, bambola di pezza means doll made of rags. Well, actually rag, because pezza in Italian is singular. So bambola, doll, bambole, dolls, because it's a band, so bambole, plural, di pezza, made of rag. Pezze would be the plural rags, so rag dolls. And generally a doll is first of all a puppet, so something easy to control. It is also something beautiful, something that exists to please others, right? In fact, in Italian, when you see a beautiful woman according to the standard of the society, so very socially compliant, you can call her una bambola, so like a very beautiful woman according to the standards. Here it is an antiphrasis because we are talking about a punk rock band of all women, so not really the stereotypical woman existing to please a patriarchal society. And in fact, we are going to talk about their feminist stance because they came out during the press conferences, because as I like to remember, during Sanremo Music Festival, between an evening and a rehearsal, the artists also go through several press conferences so that the journalist can ask about the festival, about the songs. Sadly, they don't ask much about the songs. They really like to ask stupid questions. So here we are going to talk about, after we go through the lyrics, we're going to talk about the stupid question asked to the Bambole di pezza during these press conferences. But worry not, because first we go through the lyrics. Also, one more thing. Lorenzo Coveri graded the lyrics a 6 out of 10, and I kinda agree with it. Why? Let's see. First of all, remember, like, keep in mind that the structure of the song is very standard. We have verse, pre-chorus, chorus, post-chorus structure that repeats 2 times because we have 2 verse, so 2 chorus section after the verses. Then a bridge leading to the outro, but the outro is nothing more than a repetition of the chorus and the post-chorus. And the pre-chorus, chorus and post-chorus never change, just repeat themselves. So, let's start with the first verse. Volevo dirti, in queste notti ti penso ancora, che la mia vita da quel giorno è un'altra storia, e a volte per cambiare tutto basta una parola, per diventare ciò che sono ho camminato sola. I wanted to tell you these nights that I still think of you, that my life since that day has been a different story. And sometimes to change everything, all it takes is one word. To become what I am, I walked alone. Sono una donna che non guarda in faccia niente. Mi hanno guardata male, ma è il giudizio della gente. Quando ti senti stanca dalle delusioni e l'unica certezza sono le canzoni. I am a woman who doesn't look anything in the face. They looked at me weird, literally in Italian bad, but that's people's judgment. When you feel tired from disappointments and the only certainty is songs. So, here we have a couple of peculiarities. Volevo dirti, now in English you can imply very often the that. You can say I want to tell you instead of I want to tell you that. In Italian you can't really do that. Of course, here they can because we are talking about art, we are talking about music. So, of course, the syntactical and grammatical rules are often bended for art's sake. And here, instead of volevo dirti che in queste notti ti penso ancora, I wanted to tell you that during these nights, in these nights, I still think of you. Che la mia vita da quel giorno è un'altra storia. And here we have a sort of idiomatic expression, because when in Italian we say è tutta un'altra storia, it's all another story, it means that something is completely different. So here it is that my life since that day has been completely different. However, keep in mind that in Italian we use the indicative, because in Italian, if I say è stata tutta un'altra storia, and in English I say has been, è stata un'altra storia, or has been a different story, is not the same, because è stata, which we could translate as has been in English, it doesn't have the same meaning, because has been indicates something that started in the past and still has consequences in the present. The passato prossimo in Italian does not have this meaning. So probably that's why they chose to use the indicative instead. So literally would be that my life since the day is a different story, because it's the closest option meaning-wise and also to fit the metric. And then we have ho camminato sola. Normally the syntax would be ho camminato da sola, because this is how the collocation works in Italian. Here probably again they implied it like with the che at the beginning due to metrical reasons. However, here it is an image, this thing about facing everything alone, being alone on the road of life, of the way of life. I am not a fan of it. First, because this is a band, so I would expect a band story. whatever. And second of all, because I'm not a great fan of human beings going around saying, oh, I arrived here all by myself. I'm a self-made person. I am of the sociological theory that human beings are inherently social. So there is no such thing as a self-made doing everything alone. You can feel alone while doing what you're doing, but there will always be some other human being helping you, even if you don't notice. So like this whole thing about doing everything alone is like not a fan. And then we have another, we could call it idiomatic expression. Una donna che non guarda in faccia niente. Of course, una donna, not una persona, so a woman, not a person, because we are talking about a feminist band. But again, there is a lot of individuality and not enough band for my taste. And this idiomatic expression, non guardare in faccia niente e nessuno, so not look anybody or anything in the face, it means that you do not make distinctions. As in, it doesn't matter the obstacle you find in this context, it doesn't matter. You are going to overcome it just like you did with the previous ones. It doesn't matter. All the obstacles are the same. The goal still is the same. Okay. In fact, we also have a proverb which is la morte non guarda in faccia a nessuno, which means like death doesn't look in anybody's face, so doesn't make distinction, is equal for everybody. Then we have guardar male, mi hanno guardata male. The closest translation I could get in English was to look at someone weird. You could also see it as to look down on someone. Literally is like to look at someone badly, as you wish. And it means that you are glaring at someone, but like judgmentally, okay? And in fact she says, ma il giudizio della gente, but that's people judgments, it's people judgment. What does it mean? That it is people, gente, are like an indistinct mass of people who don't know what they are thinking about, what they are talking about. And then we have the pre-chorus. And here we have some very hard syntactical structures which I don't really appreciate and whose meaning is not clear at all. È il giorno che non torna di un inverno con l'amore che non è più qui. And the day that does not return of a winter with the love that is no longer here. Ovunque sia l'errore nel miracolo di crescere così. Wherever the mistake is, in the miracle of growing up like this. Con il cuore in gola, senza lacrime e paura, with the heart in my throat, without tears and fear, con le braccia aperte per gridare, with arms open to shout or to scream. To shout or to scream what is going to be said in the chorus. Anyway, so don't ask me what the two first lines of the pre-chorus are supposed to mean because I have no idea. They are conveying the absence of love and the fact that it's not easy to grow up and evolve in this situation, I think. But again, syntactically speaking, and even from the context, is not very clear. And here we have ovunque sia l'errore, which is uncommon because generally in songs, at least in Sanremo Music Festival songs, the indicative is heavily preferred. So it's quite uncommon to find subjunctive. Here we have ovunque sia l'errore, so wherever the mistake is. And then we have another idiom, con il cuore in gola, which means with anxiety, with agitation, and it literally translates as with the heart in the throat, okay? in throat because there is no article, such is the collocation. The closest translation I can get with an idiomatic expression in English is with bated breath, but in Italian it specifically refers to the phenomenon where, due to anxiety, fear, whatnot, your blood starts pounding. Thus, it vibrates your veins and your arteries in your throat, and you can feel it pounding like an echo throughout your throat. Okay, due to the higher pressure in your vein and your arteries. So that's why it means it is related to the concept of being very anxious, very, very fearful, and whatnot. And then we have the chorus. So, what do we want to shout? Resta con me. In questi tempi di odio, tu resta con me, anche se tutto questo ci cambierà. Stay with me in these times of hate. You stay with me, even if all this changes us. So, of course, as said in the presentation of the song, of the meaning of the song, we are talking about a message of unity, of sticking together, because we need it more than ever due to all this hate. And then we have the post-chorus. Adesso sono io a dirti che ho bisogno, a dirti in questo posto sembra tutta una follia. Resta con me, repeated 2 times. Now I am the one telling you that I have a need, because when in Italian you say ho bisogno is like to have, I have the need. So we can avoid expliciting what we need. It's just expliciting the need itself. In fact, we can translate it as now I'm the one telling you that I need it, as in help, support, or that I need you. Works nonetheless. Everything is implicit. Telling you in this place, everything seems like madness. Stay with me, repeated 2 times. And then, as promised, we have the second verse. Ho fatto sogni senza mai chiudere gli occhi, vissuto vite che non sai se immaginarti. Ho visto uomini per bene andare in pezzi e ho visto uomini di strada tornare onesti. I've had dreams without ever closing my eyes. I've lived lives you can't or you don't know, you can't even imagine, or you don't know even if you can imagine them. I've seen good men fall apart. I've seen street men become honest again. E pezzi di giornale sparsi nella mia testa, una ragazza, una chitarra e una tempesta. Questi non sanno cosa provo dentro, come una foglia sempre stata al vento. And pieces of newspaper scattered in my head. A girl, a guitar, and a storm. Those people don't know what I feel inside, like a leaf that's always been in the wind. Or like a leaf always been in the wind, because this it is implied. Now, a couple of things. Ho fatto sogni. Now, in Italian we don't have dreams. We do or make dreams. This is the collocation. And then here, non sai se, so you don't know if, literally. Now, here you can mean to know, because sapere, as we said several times, is a very rich verb, so it can have several meanings. Here I would say it can mean either you don't know how to even think about it, like this is such a dream that you don't know even how to imagine this life, or you can't, because generally in this context sapere is not simply to know, is to know how, so can. And then we have pezzi di giornale sparsi nella mia testa. So of course being an artist, these are the feedback from the specialized press. And then again, una ragazza, una chitarra, una tempesta, girl, a guitar, a storm. I'm not really appreciating the fact that a band has a singular individual as the protagonist. Like, I would expect more band, right? And then questi implied queste persone, so questi, so a little bit derogative, don't know what I feel inside. And then we have come una foglia sempre stata al vento, like a leaf always been in the wind. Of course, we have the hint, the reference to freedom. Then we have a repetition of pre-chorus, post-chorus, of pre-chorus, chorus, and post-chorus, leading to the bridge, which then will lead to the outro, which is a repetition of the chorus and the post-chorus. E allora dimmi se conosci un modo per dimenticare i guai, per noi che siamo sempre stati appesi a un filo. Aspettami nell'alba di questo mattino. Ho superato anni come questi e avrei voluto dirti. So, tell me if you know a way to forget the troubles, for us who have always been hanging by a thread. Wait for me in the dawn of this morning. I've made it through years like this, because hinting at all the problems we are having as humankind in these years, and I want to tell you, and then the whole repetition of stay with me. Now, as I said before, the lyrics are quite simple, and in fact, also the music. Like, I'm saying this as someone who really liked the song. However, it was among my favorite songs from Sanremo Music Festival, also because I love how the voice of Bambole di Pezza sings. So, first of all, people criticize them a bit, just like last year with La Sied, that they were supposed to be more punk rock and they resulted to be very pop. Sort of situation you were supposed to fight them, not to join them. So again, every time we have punk rock bands being invited to Sanremo Music Festival, in the end they are not very punk rock, they end up being quite pop. The most pop rock, the most punk rock they've been was on cover night, because they sang a metal rock cover of Occhi di Gatto, and that's what we got. Then the other criticism is that they kept repeating that they were the first band, all female, participating in Sanremo Music Festival. It is true that it's quite rare, but they were not the first ones. They were, as Lorenzo Coveri rightfully said, the first all-female punk rock band. But apparently the first band participating in Sanremo Music Festival were the Lollipop in 2002. Other people said that there were other bands, all-female bands that participated, but I couldn't find them. So if you know them, let me know in the comments, as usual. And then last but not least, there was a little drama during a press conference, because they were being accused by a journalist of being anachronistic. Why anachronistic? Because they are openly feminists. Now, these journalists had the brilliant idea of telling them that they should tone down and let go this whole feminism side of them, because patriarchy is not a thing. Masculinism in 2026 does not exist, because it was completely defeated in the past somehow, and that, thank God, we have perfect gender equality. I can even convey through words how much the Bambole di pezza were cringing while this guy, because it wasn't even a question, the guy just took the microphone and stated that, like, you should really stop being feminist, sort of situation, which is, like, of course, ridiculous, needless to say. Of course, they said, no, actually, according to data, this is not true because actually to reach perfect equality, if we keep improving the perfect gender equality is previewed in 2250 and so on and so on. And this guy had the brilliant counterpoint that, but I bet that when you are at home with your husband, it is you directing the whole house. And already cherry on top, given for granted that they were all married with a man. But despite that, like, he proved exactly their point, because you have to do an example of woman power, and what do you decide to pick? The home and the kitchen. So like stereotypes reigning like rainy in May. So however, despite that, there wasn't much else, because again, their song wasn't groundbreaking. It is a nice song. I liked it. Not very punk rock, however. It was quite chill, melody-wise, and lyrics-wise, at least for the standards of Bambole di pezza. So, yeah, we had that. Could be better, could be worse sort of situation. But let me know in the comments what you think about Resta con me by Bambole di pezza. I hope you enjoyed. Grazie everyone for watching, and arrivederci.